beautiful, isn't it? So beautiful. I just think coming out to places like this is so good for the soul. I absolutely love it.
Hello and welcome to the Arthur's Pass National Park. This is one of the 13 national parks in New Zealand, and this one is in the South Island. We're going to follow this river all the way up through the township of Arthur's Pass and right up to the headwaters of the Belly River, and that's where our camp is going to be for tonight. The weather could be a bit of rain in there, we'll just have to wait and see. Indy's my dog. If you haven't seen my channel before, she often comes with me, but she can't come to national parks. So Indy's at home, but you and I are heading out on an adventure. I've got a new tent with me to try out tonight. I've bought the Durston X-Mid Pro. I think it's a X-Mid Pro 1. It's a nice ultralight alternative, and I'm looking forward to trying something that's going to make my pack a whole lot lighter. I have my small pack with me today. It's such a treat. It's about 6 kilograms lighter than my typical pack. So I'll show you what's in it when we get to camp. Everywhere you look around here, there's water. The rain falling off the leaves of the trees, the puddles on the ground, little rivers, or streams really, that we cross, and in the main river, there's just water everywhere. Soaked into the mosses, hanging off the vegetation. It's spectacular. So that mountain up there is Mount Rolleston. So for those of you who want to have a look on the maps, that's Mount Rolleston and up to Crow Glacier. I definitely recommend the Belly Track, it's really lovely. But this second part of it, beyond the end of the formal track, is no walk in the park. So great if you enjoy a challenge, but there's quite a lot of bush bashing, stepping into the river and climbing over slippery rocks. That's a Mount Cook Lily. So, not for the faint-hearted. Right, we're just trying to navigate around the river. I'm going to put the phone away and just try and skirt around there. We're just coming up on the spot that I'm thinking might be suitable to camp, but let's take a look and see. On the topographical map I could see that the valley widens here and this bit was quite flat. One thing I can see that is going to be a little problem is it's very, very rocky. I mean, obviously this is a riverbed, for goodness sake. This spot is less than ideal, but it's great. The view is insane. I mean, this view, this location is next level. Yes, I'm going to be pitching on a slight slope and there are rocks underneath me. And I am right by the path. But hey, the view is incredible. All right, let's get set up. So this is the whole tent plus the 2 hiking poles. Got pegs. I'll put extra pegs in there actually because it comes with I think 8 pegs and There's about another 8 tie-off points that you can use if you want to. You have to add extra guy lines and things, and I've done that just to make sure it's really, really strong. And then there's the inner and the fly. Now this is a second-hand tent, so there's a couple of little aftermarket things on it, like little bungee cords and things like that. So this tent is new to me, but it's not new to the market. In fact, it's quite old news, really. I think this tent was released in about 2018. In fact, actually, I think it's the last new product that was designed and manufactured by Durston. Until now, because they've got a dome tent, a new dome tent that's just been released. So I don't usually buy things because they're new and nifty. I usually buy things because they've been tried and tested. And there's lots of really good reviews on this tent. I think it can be a little bit tricky and temperamental to set up, but apparently once you get it set up, once you figure out your system, it's great. And I have to say, it was so much lighter and smaller to carry in than my usual tent setup. And that's why I've got it. I want a nice lightweight option for when I'm on my own, don't have Indy with me, and it's not the middle of winter. So I think to make it as light as possible, it doesn't come with the extra guy lines and tie downs that I've added. But New Zealand conditions are quite challenging. We get a lot of rain and we get a lot of wind. And the last thing I want is to be stuck somewhere with a tent that's collapsing. So I'd rather have all the extra guy lines and tie down points, even if it's going to add a bit of weight. Considering yesterday in my backyard was the first time I've set this up, I'm actually really pleased. It's looking good. I didn't bother trying to put the inner in, so that's going to be interesting. I'm not sure how that will go. But so far so good. Woohoo! Home sweet home. That looks really awesome. And I think if I sleep on an angle, I actually think it could be relatively flat, which is good news. I'm very happy with this. This is lovely. The tent itself is quite small, but the vestibules are really large. I mean, there's all this space. I'll show you in a moment, but it goes all the way in there, and on the other side all the way back into the other corner. So I've got lots of room to put my stuff. I will get everything into the tent that I need in here, and then I'm going to put my pack around the other side. I've pulled the ground sheet out there so that my pack can sit on top of it and stay dry. I'm really happy. This is lovely. So let me show you what I've got with me. Woo! I'm like sitting in this little hollow. Right, I have got food, gas, billy, cooker, all of that. Little toiletries bag. Clothing, which I've just rolled into a bundle and put in the hood of my jacket. My mat, X-Mid Sin Mat Ultralight Medium. My little tarp, which I don't think we'll use. Leave that in here. Oh, and shoved down into the bottom of the pack is my sleeping bag. I was determined to only bring my small backpack because it weighs less, like the actual weight of the pack itself is less. And it also stops me from thinking I can put more things in. If I can't fit them, then I don't bring them. Sleeping bag. And apart from that, I've got my electronics gear and I have got my personal locator beacon and my first aid kit, which is pretty big because I can't take any chances when I'm on my own. I'm just trying to decide. I think what I'll do is get my mat and sleeping bag set up, and it's not quite dinner time yet, so I think once everything is set up nicely at camp, we might go further up the valley and have a little bit of an explore because it gets pretty wild up there and I'd love to show you. This is incredible. So beautiful. Oh, it's amazing. I'll turn you around and show you what I'm looking at. The world is an amazing place, it really is. Cheers, everyone. Woo! Well shaken. This is Three Boys Strawberry Kombucha. Thanks for coming with me on this trip, you guys. It's so lovely to be able to share it with you. It seems like such a shame not to enjoy it with someone. I get to enjoy it with all of you. This is one of those times when you just feel so small and yet so whole and complete. I think it's because when I'm sitting out here, I feel like I'm part of this place. I'm going to wander back down to camp. It's it's just starting to chill off a bit. And the light's starting to fade. And I'd really like to make sure I get back there in the light. Time to get dinner started too. I'm getting hungry. Again.
It's drizzling. So I wouldn't even say it's raining. It was raining when I got back from our walk, but it's back to just being insipid. It's drizzling, but I feel better with the tarp up because I can sit in comfort. I don't have to feel like I'm going to have to rush my dinner sitting outside in the damp air. This is lovely. I am just going to move my little seat, make myself cozy, and then get started on dinner.
So for dinner tonight, I'm having a rehydrated meal. I've had this for a little while and I really need to use it. And I want to try it because as much as I dislike rehydrated meals, there is a real benefit to them, which is that they're light. Woo. Okay, hold on. Let's turn that down. Good grief. Well, we're out of olive oil at home, and so I have bought some butter, which is why it's smoking so much. So I have this rehydrated meal, and this is called Real Meals, and I'm told by other outdoors people that of all the rehydrated meals, this is the best one. So I'm going to give it a go. But just because I'm me, I'm adding some mushrooms and some spinach. I just figure mushroom and spinach, they're so light, take up so little room. I just chop them up at home and I'll just sort of fry these up a bit. And then I'll add the water, boil that up, and put it in all in the bag together. I just sound so untrusting, don't I? Like I just don't trust that the meal's going to be good enough. I'm just going to add my bit to it. It just also makes me feel, I don't know, like I've made something for dinner rather than just poured water in a bag. Each to their own. I'm sure it's tasty enough without spinach and mushrooms. It's early November, end of spring. Well, nearing the end of spring. We're getting some warm weather in New Zealand and we're getting some really cold weather. So the last camp I went on, if you guys watched that video, I had about 50 centimetres of snow around the tent. It was about 10 days ago. And today's pretty mild. It's lovely. I'm sitting here, I've got a couple of thin woolen layers on and this jacket, but I'm pretty warm. I think I'll put my puffer jacket on in a moment because it's really important in the outdoors not to get cold. Like if you think you're going to get cold, it's a bit like if you think it's going to rain, it's good to do things like put your tarp up or put your raincoat on sooner rather than later. Because when you get caught out, like by the time you get cold, it just takes a while to heat back up again. I know these meals are designed to be eaten from the bags. And if I was hiking up to the top of a mountain and really didn't want to bring a plate, then I would eat out of the bag. But seeing as this is a valley walk, even though it's a lightweight camp, I've brought my bowl. Just makes it, I don't know, just makes it seem more like a meal, hey? That's really nice. This is beef stroganoff. Beef in a creamy mushroom sauce with fettuccine and mushrooms and spinach. That water is cold. Glacial melt. One thing about those rehydrated meals, doesn't matter whether they're expensive, cheap, whatever, I always feel so thirsty afterwards. Like I could just nail a litre of water. So I'm going to make myself a nice big herbal tea. I'm just going to chill out and watch this cloud moving in from the mountains down the valley. It's really clagging in now. We are in the cloud. Amazing. Just amazing. I'll tell you what else is amazing. It's amazing that Adventure OT now has over 10,000 subscribers. That's amazing. I started the channel 2 years ago, and I started it because of my love for the outdoors, my love for people, my knowledge that the outdoors is such a healer. The outdoors it has this amazing ability to help to support our mental and physical well-being. And I know that even though being in the outdoors is ultimately the best thing for you, even just watching somebody else spending time outdoors, it's really good for you. It just boosts all those great endorphins and just makes you feel good. So, I know it's a cup of tea and it's herbal tea, but cheers to you guys, my amazing community. You guys are awesome. You are really awesome. You motivate me to keep going, and I will always go out into the mountains. I will always be out here doing this. But it's the support and encouragement from you guys that means I video them and put them up on YouTube. I do it for me, and I just love to share them with you. So thank you so much to all of you.
Good morning. Got myself a lovely Earl Grey tea. It's just delicious. It's raining, but it's raining really lightly. Not enough to hear it over the sound of the river, but just enough that every now and then you can hear a little pitter-patter. You can see all the drops dripping off the tarp. You can see the rain out there in the distance. It's magical. I slept really well, all things considered. My little X-Mid Sunlight mat, I've just loved it. It's been my go-to mat for everything except midwinter camping. But it's got a hole in it somewhere, and I submerged it in a spa pool and found where I thought the hole was, and I repaired it. But there must be another small leak, or maybe I haven't repaired it well enough because it went flat in the night. Fortunately, because we're on this spongy, mossy ground, it was actually quite soft underneath me. I actually had a good night's sleep, even though I really didn't have a mat. I'm conscious that I am camped alongside the track, so just mindful that at some point this morning people will start walking past. So I'm not going to be able to hang out here forever, but I'll enjoy my cup of tea, chill out for a bit. And then, even though I've had a cup of tea, I'm going to have a cup of coffee. We'll cook up a brew of coffee, and the pack-up's going to take very little time at all. It's the nice thing about not bringing so much stuff. When you keep it simple, everything is simple. It's raining. Just as I start to pack up, it's raining. Like really raining. Well, I've got myself packed up, everything except for the tent and tarp. As you can see, I've taken the inside out of the tent just gives me lots of room to move around and do stuff. My consensus on Durston, I think it's X-Mid. I don't know if it's mid-X, X-Mid. Durston X-Mid. I really like it so far. Really like it. I think it's been a good purchase. It's going to be perfect for what I want, which is something really light that doesn't take up a lot of room. Funny enough, I'm not a too hiking pole girl. I really like to have one hand free for grabbing onto things and hoisting myself up and down. I really don't like having two things in my hands. So I probably will never walk with two poles, which means I'm carrying a pole or I'm carrying a trekking pole in order to use this tent. So that does add a bit of weight. If I'm being, completely true about what the weight is going to be. And I have added the extra guy lines and tie down points and things because I think in New Zealand conditions we really need that. You need to know that it's going to withstand strong winds and heavy rain and some brutal conditions. So no doubt, knowing me, it will get an opportunity to have a really good test out in some bad conditions. But it's nice to bring it out in, I was going to say, lovely weather like this. Lovely, drizzly. No, it is. It's beautiful, and it's not harsh conditions at all. So if you're wondering why I came out today, why did I choose today to come out if it's dripping with rain? Because overnight, last night was, out of the whole week, that was the one night where there wasn't going to be heavy winds in this area, and the wind is more of a problem for me than, in my personal opinion, for me, than the rain. I really enjoy the rain. I don't like the wind. But one of these days, no doubt, this tent's going to have to stand up to some wind, and we'll see how it goes. But I'm really happy with it. Quite a few people have said that it can have issues with condensation. I didn't find it was bad at all. There was a light layer of sort of dewiness on the inside of the inner. And on the, not really on the outer, slightly, which is actually quite surprising because the ground is completely saturated. It's raining. I was in there with my body warmth, so yeah, wasn't too bad. Very happy with that. All right, I'm going to make a brew and enjoy a coffee, enjoy the last few moments, and then I better get going, just so that I don't end up with lots of people coming past the camp. Got some people that I want to say some thanks to. I want to say thanks to Simon, to Barbara, to Jody, to Rick and Tanya. There might be others of you by the time I get back to civilization and can check my my YouTube studio, but those people have left me a donation on YouTube, super thanks, and so I just want to take time to shout you guys out and say thank you so very much for that. Huge thanks to you guys, huge thanks to all of you for watching the video, for liking, subscribing, sharing. That means so much to me. Thank you for your beautiful comments and all of your support. You guys are really, really awesome. Thank you to my Buy Me a Coffee members. You guys are like the rock solid foundation on which I can plan out what I'm going to be doing for the month. Thank you so much. And thank you to the people who donate money through Buy Me a Coffee to buy Indy and I some treats and help me afford some gear.
And yeah, just thanks so much. I'm going to finish my coffee and then I'm going to bring the tent down and the tarp and we'll get going. It's always a celebration when you can get a wet tarp back into its own little bag. Woohoo! I'm taking the time to shorten the guy lines and tie them up. And the reason I'm doing that is because I know it's going to be a bit windy back at home, and when I put everything on the washing line, it flaps around madly, and then all the guy lines get tangled up around each other, and I end up with this massive, like, dog's breakfast of messy, tangled guy lines to sort out. So I usually don't have the patience for this by this point in the trip. If I've had a really hard trip, I just pack the SHIT into my pack and go. Just grabbing one last look at the view. It's so beautiful, isn't it? So beautiful. I just think coming out to places like this is so good for the soul. I absolutely love it. I hope you guys enjoyed it as well. Thanks for coming on the trip with me. Till next time. Bye.